Thank you.
When they want to, listen, they all find how much 20 billion. All of a sudden they got it right. People are laughing at them, but it's true because you'll be like, hold on, but wait, you've been crying poverty since 1900 long. All of a sudden you've got 20 billion to go to war with how many different countries? Come on now.
Well, but listen. It's just like with the elections here in the United States. When you want to basically have an election, you'll put $2 billion into an election, but you can't stop the homeless problem. I don't get this.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, you lot are having a laugh, and you're taking, you're getting. It's bad because how can you sit there and say you want to help people, but the things that people need, you will not even look at. You won't even think about trying to implement anything. But you're going to sit there and keep saying, oh yes, well finally we admit, people are going to be, people are getting poorer, children are living in poverty, people are struggling, but yet you still got bailiffs coming around trying to take from them. They ain't got nothing to give you. And I've even written this in the past, and people are going to laugh, but I've written to bailiffs and I've said, listen. When you change the type of currency that you can accept, i.e. bodily fluids, then you can have that in abundance, right? I'll give you that. But I ain't got no money for you. I'm sorry. I just ain't got it.
Well, I mean, it's a thing where when you have it, you're going to get it to them. But if you are not doing well, it's just impossible for you to do that. It's impossible to make the ends meet.
I stopped because when you get yourself so stressed out and you're crying and you're stressed out and you're not sleeping, all them things have got to stop because I'm about to kill myself otherwise. And you just think that's not helping the situation because really and truly they just want cold hard cash.
That's it.
Okay, and if whatever else you trying to offer them, they're not interested in that. Okay, and the irony makes me laugh because they come round your house, for example, and they're looking to confiscate things from you, like, for example, a car or a van or a motorcycle, big items that they think, we're going to take that because you're not paying us what. But when they realise you ain't even got that, I've had bailiffs come around and then they look and they go, you ain't got nothing, have you? And it's like, well, no, I did tell you this, but obviously people tell them that and they just think that people are saying it. Because they try not to give them no money, innit? But they're thinking, if you've spent loads of money on this big car, then you can afford to pay me. But when you realise the person hasn't even got a car to give you to cart away or something like that, then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to have to, just go about my business because this person ain't really got nothing. And obviously, it's not going to stop the letters. It's not going to stop the court summonses and all the other stuff that they come. But people, what I'm talking about. And this is a worldwide thing. This ain't just here in the UK, And I'm going to say this as well. The benefit system as we know it here in the UK could be scrapped if the UK government would get their act together and just start implementing the universal basic income but I have to stress this. A universal basic income will not be enough for anyone to live on. And I've said this before, haven't I, K-Rose? Not by any stretch of the imagination. So people will still need and they will want to have a job of some kind and work because I'm not being funny. It's just, and you asked me, didn't you? Because last time you said I was a bit mad and I wasn't thinking about the amount. Right, let's do it. I reckon they should start from about £800 to £1,000 a month per person. That's your basic income. And that's going to cover you, even if it doesn't cover all of your mortgage. But I ain't being funny. If you're living in a house where your mortgage is a lot more than that, then okay, you might want to think about downsizing if it's really going to be a struggle for you. Because obviously, even though you go out and get another job, you don't want all, half of your money to be going on your mortgage or something, do you? Because you've got other expenses, isn't it? Especially if you've got kids and whatever. So, but a universal basic income, the point I'm making, that would at least make sure that nobody is homeless and nobody goes hungry because you can keep a roof over your head and you can keep food in your gut.
Well, in this subject, I really do believe in what you're doing, and so let me start off with that. But and I know, because we interact with people that are this way. There are some people that would do exactly what you said. They would just basically, it would be enough to make, for them to make their ends meet. They would be appreciative of it, and they would be able to make it work. And then you have the other people who, as I mentioned, everybody is not like this, but that small percentage of people that try and game the system, they make it bad for those people that really need this universal basic income.
Yeah, but you see, if you're going to be stupid, as I've already said in the past, if you're going to do that, then serve you right and suffer. Okay, stay there, because no one's not going to come to your assistance again when you keep messing up, because you're getting the help that you need now. Then we know that there's other issues. You've got other issues that you need to address in, because people don't want to hear about that now. If you're getting the help that you need to stay in a property and keep a roof over your head and keep food in your belly, and you're still doing stupidness, okay, good night, Irina. Because I just wouldn't have time for that, because people are struggling from, day to day, struggling to put food in their kids' mouths and keep a roof over their head. So you would me personally, I know I would take that universal basic income and I will be giving it to whoever I need to give it to get them to leave me alone, because I've got other bigger fish to fry. Right. I've got other things to do. Who wants to be getting chased from, all over creation for that? Just here and leave me alone. That's what it's for, isn't it? To make sure that you're not getting into poverty and you can keep a roof over your head. Obviously, me personally, I know I'd be working because there's other things I need to be doing. And that to me is just, as I keep stressing, basic. Okay, all right. For example, we've got the new candidate for the French presidency that is coming up for renewal. Mm-hmm. And he wants to bring in a universal basic income. He even wants to legalize cannabis. People, I got opinions on that, but we won't go there today. He wants to tax robots. And he even wants to shorten the working week in France. Now, hello, all these things sound very good to me. I think I would be, inclined to vote for somebody like that.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First of all, which again, I want to know it's not I think it's good or bad. I just want to understand maybe, and you might be able to help me, or I might read the article and it'll help me. But how do you tax robots? You mean if a company is using more robots than they are humans for efficiency, so they make more money, they have to pay a tax because of that?
Well, yeah, because remember, when people work, they get taxed, don't they? So they will just instead of they put that tax on robots as well for whether it's efficiency or whether it's just to be able to say, okay, you're using robots as part of your business, because when you're a business, you are paying taxes, aren't you? So it will probably be a tax as part of the business running expenses. So I don't think it would be anything major, but it just be that they will be taxing robots and the use of robots the same way that they tax people to work. Because those taxes go towards the running of the country, innit?
Okay,
so
and that makes sense to me.
You got to tax them.
That makes sense to me. A human being would be making a wage, and we would be getting income tax from them from making the wage.
Yeah.
So if you have a robot that's doing that, you're not going to pay exactly, of course, because you're not paying anything, but you'll pay a amount of money per robot you're using.
Yeah, or something like that. They could, work out a way to do it. But remember, because more and more robots are being used, in industry and in medicine and all kinds of things, they're going to realize that, hold on a second, that is taking away from humans doing the jobs, which in a way is a good thing to a certain extent, because some of the jobs that they would be doing, the robots can do, it's very dangerous for humans to do, because if something goes wrong or they're not paying attention or whatever, that's either a real serious injury or even death. So if you can get a robot to do it, sorry, robots, but it's better to give it to the robot and save the human, isn't it? Isn't that what they say? Because apparently robots, unless they start making them real sentient beings and they've got feelings and then all kinds of stuff, and it's like, oh, Lord.
Well, then we're going into sci-fi with humans and some of these other shows.
iRobot and all that kind of thing. Oh,
right,
Lord.
Right.
So, but you know what I mean. But basically, right, people need to start thinking about this universal basic income. You really need to start clocking onto this, right, people? If you're thinking this chick is crazy, yeah, I am a little kooky, but I also am very practical, okay? And I've seen these things, and I'm just like, okay, I had to just share my more than 2 cents on it, because listen, this guy, right, what's his name? Benoit Hamon, he wants to reduce the working week from 35 to 32 hours. As I said, he wants to levy a tax on the robots. He wants to provide a monthly universal basic income for 18 to 25-year-olds that will then be extended to all French people. Personally, I think he should just do it to all French people from the get-go. But anyway, and because he's saying that it would offset the dwindling work opportunities in an age of automation. Believe this, people, is happening whether you're ready or not. Just hello, it's coming, okay? And basically, he wants to pay everyone irrespective of income. And I know you had a problem with this last time we talked about it, didn't you, Keros? First, he said he wants the monthly stipend that would eventually reach about £640. I reckon he might have to go a bit higher than that, but at least that's better than nothing, isn't it?
Right.
Because obviously you start there, obviously, because the cost of living is always going up. That's why I say that. So obviously you start there, for example, it's just an example, and you keep going. But I would take that very happily and put that on, rent, mortgage, whatever, food. That's keeping you in your house. You ain't got no one telling you they want to dash you out. People in the UK, you know how I feel about this situation. Okay, because this is what happens, right? This is what they do, right? And then they just keep going on. And you know what I'm like. Sometimes I am a little bit devil's advocate, and other times I like to just draw attention to things. So I did, K-Rose. I am a bit naughty, but I decided, because the BAFTAs was on a couple of weeks ago here in the UK, the BAFTA, the film awards.
Oh,
so
okay,
I decided, right? I decided to try and get the attention of the film director Ken Loach, and I'll tell you why, right? Because I wanted to ask him to help to expose UK firms which don't pay a minimum living wage. And I have to say this, I have to stress this, especially to workers who they class as quote unquote self-employed. I got a thing about this. Whew, people, I really have got a thing about this, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't rude. I did congratulate him on winning the BAFTA award, okay? But I had to have my say. Come on, right? Because, K-Rose, when I saw this film, that I haven't actually seen the film itself, but when I saw, the title of the film, what it was about, it's called I, Daniel Blake. And that's what he won the BAFTA for. And it's a real look at what is happening in the UK with the benefit system. And I've experienced this, okay, people, firsthand, a few times now. Okay, not just once. So I know what I'm talking about. And as those of you in the UK who have ever been on benefits, whether it's just once or multiple times because of all the craziness with the economy, that is a system that keeps people in poverty, okay? And it really does not help people to find any job, much less better paid work. The stress I've told you about going and sitting in these benefit centres all day long, right? They tell you that you're on a course, quote unquote. I could be here all day with this, don't you? But let me just get to it. Basically, and it keeps people in poverty, okay? And we know, listen, I don't know about anyone else, but I just have to say, I don't think we are out of the recession, the last recession, which started in 2007, 2008. I'm sorry, I think we haven't recovered from that. I think they're trying to roll over into another one again, but I'm not going to jinx it. I'm not going to say anything, but I sent out to him on Instagram and Twitter, actually, because I'm a naughty girl. I said to him, congratulations on the BAFTA award for the film I, Daniel Blake, and thank you for speaking out about the UK government's treatment of its citizens and describing it as callousness and brutality. It really is! And I asked him to support the cause of asking the UK government to create a hotline so that people can tell the government which firms don't pay minimum wage, including for the self-employed, K-Rose. And the reason I'm stressing this is because I have a bee in my bonnet about this so-called self-employed status. Because these people take advantage of you, The companies will take advantage of people and they will make them class themselves as self-employed. But I have to tell you this. When companies, they want people to work harder, they will be pestering you all the time. We need you. We want you to work. You've got to do more hours. Can you log back on? Right? They're constantly pestering you, yeah? But when you ask them, can you pay me proper wages? They don't want to chat to you, okay? They won't class you as an employee. And you know why? Because they don't want to pay you proper wages. They don't want to pay you the minimum wage. Even the minimum wage they don't want to give you. They don't even want to give you sick pay. No holiday pay, no nothing.
Well, but that goes back to follow the money again. They want to make as much money as possible for as little payment for materials or for people working or whatever. They are concentrating on the profit of the company, which I'm not adverse to. But if you're doing it,
make profit, you want to make things. But come on, if you treat your workers badly, right, all of them start dropping like flies because they start getting sick because they're working themselves into the ground and they're not taking proper breaks. They're not taking any holidays. I tell you what, K-Rose, I've come across companies and I would love to name and shame on here, but I ain't gonna do it yet. Be careful, people. I ain't going to do it on you yet. But don't you worry, because I'm building up for you. I'm just going to say this. How is it fair when the company bosses can take, 6 holidays minimum a year and the staff can't even afford to take one? How is that fair?
Well, but they give you vacation time, but they don't basically
They don't
but
give
you
you
don't
any
make enough
time.
money to have a vacation. Let me put
That's
it
what
that
I'm
way.
trying to say. You don't make enough money. You ain't even making enough money to keep the roof over your head and food in your belly. So how are you supposed to go and go on holiday? Hello, Carol. I'm sick of it. I even put that in my post. Fed up. Hashtag fed up. And if you really clock it, people out there, and you start really doing your homework and you start looking into things, right, you'll notice that there's a lot of people who are starting to come forward and they're going to say, yeah, you know what,